Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and I'm back with another edition of Yarn Love, where I work with Red Heart to show off one of their fantastic new yarns. And in this episode, I get to show off Red Heart Croquette. Now, it's pronounced croquette, not croquet, which is what I initially wanted to say when I first saw it, but it is adorable. Now, just to give you some idea of scale here, I'll move my hands in here so you can see just how cute these little guys are. Now, I would like to point out that despite their small size, there is 239 yards of yarn inside each one of these little cakes. 1.5 ounces. So with that much yardage and at this size, you have to know it is, if I can flip it over here, a fingering weight yarn. Also a super fine or a number 1 is what you're going to see on the label there. And I know this label is quite small. In person, when I look at these labels, I actually use the magnifying tool on my cell phone. It helps me read these small details. So if you need a closer look at those, of course, you can also go to redheart.com, and all of that's spelled out right there on the page as well. You can see it is machine washable, but you don't want to iron it. In terms of content, this yarn is made with 92% cotton, 5% poly, and 3% other. And that 3%, as far as I can tell, must be the beautiful sparkle that you'll see in each of these. Now, the sparkle itself seems to be consistently sort of a white silver, I'd say. The sparkle itself doesn't seem to change color between the different colorways, but there are 11 colorways total. I've only got 7 of them here, excuse me. These two are actually the same. This is the Stonehenge colorway. I've got a project I'm working up in that one right now. But these are just a few of them. So let me go ahead and slip off the label on a couple of these so you can see how beautiful these colorways really are. Now you can see these are some long sections of color, which means this yarn will be self-striping. This one, again, is the same one. So you'll want to look at your cakes, too. If it's important to you how the colors lay, you'll want to look for ones that maybe have the same color on the outside or perhaps have started from the opposite end, again, depending on what sort of color layout you had in mind. So let me just go ahead and slip this one off here as well so you get an idea of these really, really gorgeous colors. Now, as for sliding on the hook and needles, I haven't found any trouble with these. I've been working them up with wooden ones, both hooks and needles, and I'll show you those here in a minute. So let me set these aside and I'll pull up a couple small swatches so you can see how it behaves. All right, here you can see a teeny tiny knit swatch I've been working up with Red Heart Croquette. Now, as I said, this is a super fine yarn, so it is quite thin, almost thread-like. So the recommended needle size is actually a 1. This is almost the tiniest set of needles I have. I do have a set of zeros, but I don't think I've ever actually used this size before. This is a 2.25 millimeter set of circulars. So yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge for me, I'll be honest. I had never knit with anything this small before, let alone needles this small. It made me a little bit nervous at first. But I found that while it certainly takes quite a bit of time to knit a project with yarn this thin, it really does slide very well on the needles. I was a little worried. Again, I also hadn't knit with a cotton thread before like this, and I didn't know how it would react to the needles. It doesn't have a whole lot of stretch to the yarn itself. You can see it is basically cotton thread. It's nice and strong, but it knits up very prettily. Obviously, it would take, like I say, quite a bit of time with stitches this small to make anything large, but you absolutely could do it, and it would be, I'm sure, absolutely stunning. And of course, you can make small projects too. I think this would be a great width for sort of like a bookmark or maybe even a bracelet. And of course, once it's knit up, it does have great stretch. This is just some garter stitch you can see here, worked back and forth. Just with that little outside color. Hadn't gotten to any of the other colors yet. But again, this was about 45 minutes of knitting for me. I'm not a fast knitter, so it does take some time. But as you can see, the results are gorgeous. So now let's take a quick look at the crochet swatch. All right, and here is a swatch of crochet that I've been working up with Red Heart Croquette. This one is the Stonehenge colorway. You can see I'm still working on the first color here that was on the outside, but I'm about to get to change, so that's very exciting. Now, I am using a little bit bigger crochet hook than is recommended. In addition to, whoops, I flipped that over. In addition to a size 1 knitting needle, it does also recommend on the label that you use a size B crochet hook, which is quite small. I've opted instead to use a size G. I just wanted something a little bit looser and more open. So that was a personal choice I made, but obviously you can get different looks with this yarn depending on what size hook or needle you use. If we look at the recommended size knitting, you can see, of course, knitting to crochet isn't an exact translation, but you can see just the different sizes of the stitches you can get. So instead, I've been using a G-hook, which is a 4mm. Again, just for this pattern, depending on the pattern you're making with this yarn, you'll want to use the hook size recommended or whatever gives you gauge. But again, I haven't had any troubles with this yarn splitting on the hook. Now, when I work with yarn this thin, I do like to really use the other hand to stabilize the stitches a little bit. You can see I'm using my non-hook hand to really kind of pinch down on my work and even hold the base of the stitch as I make it. I find that when I'm working with thread, this just helps it be a little bit easier. So that's just a little tip for working with this type of yarn as well. That said, I am really, really enjoying it. And with a G-hook and a crochet, I don't find this to be a slow pattern at all. Again, this will be a free pattern coming on mooglyblog.com. So if you like the look of it so far, you can watch for that coming up later in March 2019. And of course, there will be a video tutorial for it on YouTube as well. So that is the crochet one so far. And I'll go ahead and pull a few of these stitches out. You can see it frogs beautifully. No fraying, no fuzzing, no unraveling, no untwisting. It really is a beautiful yarn that I've been having a great time using. Now, I haven't used a whole lot of cakes of this yet. It is very, very new, so I haven't been able to test it really for color consistency from cake to cake, but I really think I haven't spotted anything, any cakes of it that really stood out as not matching the others. I saw a rather large display of this earlier this year, and the colorways all seem to be pretty consistent from ball to ball within the colorway itself. Here's 2 balls of this same colorway. You can see it is pretty darn consistent. So while there may be dye lots, let me just double check here. Yes, there are officially dye lots, so you might want to look for those when you're buying yours. Otherwise, though, I haven't really found any trouble with, like I say, big changes from dye lot to dye lot. Also, I haven't found any knots in this yarn at all yet. No thinness, no lumpiness, no knots. Again, no fuzzing with use. It's because it's cotton. I think this is going to hold up really beautifully as well. And this one pretty. This one is I believe it's Red Hot, something like that. It's got a great name. All of these have really fun names. Red Hot. Yes, this is a Red Hot colorway. It's a little harder to see on camera, but we've got some orangier ones and then more of a coral there and some pink on the outside. So this one would be great for that Pantone 2019 color of the year as well. Now, like I said, you've seen me crochet and knit with it. I think it works out beautifully in both, although, of course, as a super fine yarn, it's going to take a little while for a larger project. But it works beautifully for both. I was pleasantly surprised with how well it knit up. I've obviously crocheted with cotton thread before, but I hadn't knit with it, so that was a lot of fun to try. I think that this yarn is thin enough that if you are a very, very beginner with knitting or crochet, it might be a little bit more difficult just because it is quite thin. And it seems, to me at least, when I crochet with it, I always like to add that little extra bit of stability. But if you're past the very beginner stages, then I certainly think it would be a great yarn to work with because it's going to be very easy to see the structure of your stitches and be able to read what you're doing with both crochet and, of course, knitting. Of course, that said, you might need a pair of reading glasses, so keep that in mind as well. I think that this yarn will make beautiful garments for those who have the patience to obviously work up tiny little stitches like this. Accessories, I think it's going to be beautiful. I think I'm actually going to get a fair bit of size out of just this one cake. I'm very excited by this project and I'm looking forward to showing it to you. So I hope you will check out Red Heart Croquette. It's available at redheart.com as well as at hopefully your local Joann. So go check that out there as well. So thank you so much for watching. Please go to the link in the description where you'll find a link out to this yarn itself as well as the hook and needles that you've seen here today. Thanks so much for watching and happy crocheting and happy knitting. And don't forget to subscribe.